Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Bebop here. Today's video is going to be about the rapier. Now, the rapier offhand weapon mainly. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, what is the best weapon for the rapier offhand? Well, when you ask questions like that to people who are streaming or whatnot, it's very difficult to answer. The question you want to ask is, what offhand is good for whatever situation I'm about to do? What offhand weapon is good for the high? What offhand weapon is good for M3s? What offhand weapon? Well, no one does M3s, so never mind. What offhand weapons are good for like M2? Well, no one does M2s, never mind. M1s. Who cares? Because you can get there real easy. What offhand weapon is good for OPR? What's offhand? Well, you're not going to run rapier as your main damage weapon for OPR anyway, so who cares about that? So it's real easy. The rapier, it comes down to a few simple weapons that you can use. And I'll say if you're running mutations or whatnot and go over that. Let's just get straight into it here. All right, so with the rapier, if you're running the hive, then I'm going to leave the sandworm out of this because that's something you basically with the sandworm, you're just going to run an int warhammer, okay, that you can craft at the kiddie pool down there in CK. All right, and so with the rapier, let's say if you're running dungeons or if you're out in the open world or whatnot, you can run a myriad of things, okay? The rapier is very versatile. So there's two different ways to build out a rapier. I'm not going to go into the skill tree. Basically, you have your bleed and you have your evade. In the hive, this is the only time this and the sandworm, the only times that your bleed rapier will be 350 dex. Now, there are some team comps out there that still have the bleed rapier at 350 int, but I don't want to confuse you too much here. 100% of the time when you're running in mutations, your bleed rapier will be 350 int and your evade will be 350 dex. So it depends on which one you're doing. Okay, we'll start off with dex since we have this here. We would be set up for the evade build. What would be good for the evade build? Set up like this with nimble coat, and you should be running nimble coat now that you can easily get the artifacts. Put enchanted ward on there. Now that you easily get the artifacts, any rapier player should have nimble coat, and it's, unacceptable if you don't down the road. Now the update just came out, so whatever. It's gonna take some time, but you'll get there. Now you can run the musket, which is one of my favorite weapons to run offhand. You see me run it all the time. Have this one with disdain affliction, refreshing power shot, keenly jagged. It's all right to run in the hive or whatnot because everybody's going to be running keenly jagged. In mutations, you don't want to have keenly jagged. You leave that up to the tank. I've mentioned it in plenty of videos. Refresh your power shot because when you go shooter stance and you have empowering shooter stance on your clothing, you're going to get that to proc at your last shot and do your most damage there. Blunderbuss. Is this good with the evade build? No, because this is based off strength and intelligence. Okay, so this would be better for the bleed rapier. You'll get more damage out of it. Fire staff, is it good for the rapier offhand? Yes, it is. I mean, it's good. So for the evade build, this would not be good. The fire staff would not be good. Now, for certain situations, let's say the first boss in Genesis, it doesn't matter. It'll be good enough. You can run it just fine. But in overall dungeons, you wouldn't want to run this because it is a int-based weapon. So this would be better for a bleed rapier to run. Let's go with hammer. Is the hammer good for the rapier offhand? No. Is the greatsword? No. Now, are there specific situations you can use these? Yes, but I'm going over mainstream kind of things. Is the great axe good? Typically, no. Especially if you're bleed. Hell to the no. But if you're evade, possible situations could arise for that to happen. I've gone over the musket, the blunderbuss. Now, let's go. And the fire staff, let's go over the spear. The spear can be used with the rapier if you're in a evade rapier, so you're 350 dex, what I'm set up with now, because the spear is based off dex 90% wise, and then so you have 350 dex, so you're still going to do a little bit of damage. It ain't going to be as much as if you had some strength, but it's still possible for CC control and maybe just putting a bleed down. But there are two primary weapons, so a lot of times if you do run this, you'll run the skill tree just like this. You'll be offhand spear. So if you do run the spear while having a rapier, you basically set it up like this. And if you go bleed and sweep, then you set it up like this. You can do the stamina perks if you want. You can add that one if you want. And that's what you would go with. You would only select this box. That way the rend stacks this will add 15% rend. If you go down here, you will not stack rend with the other main spear that's perforating. Okay, so that's how you would do that. And then when we get to the bow is good for the evade rapier because you're 350 dex, so it can still do damage. The bow's base, you know, purely off dex. Not for the bleed rapier. It's not good for the bleed rapier. Hatchet, neither. Not good, not a good pairing. The void gauntlet, a lot of times you can use this to help out if the healer is off in the distance and they're getting used to healing. They're not used to putting oblivion down, then you can put oblivion down for them and help them out. You don't want your bleed rapier to be doing this because you want your bleed rapier on the rapier most of the time. You don't want them to be distracted putting this down. And also be careful because the void gauntlet switch to and from is a little bit off and slow, just like it is with the hatchet, in my opinion. I don't know if they'll ever address that. It's AGS, so probably not. Sword, no, don't do it. Bad. Ice Gauntlet, really good for the bleed rapier to run, not as good for the evade. Unless you're maybe, well, no, you'll still be running the artifact rapier. Void Gauntlet already covered. Flail. Flail can be used for either one, but you would just use it for a quick fortify to your teammates if you get to a boss fight. Now, the tank a lot of times will have the flail in the boss fight with the SNS main hand, but if you hit bludgeon, you get reinforced to everybody around you, plus you will empower somebody around you if you have the skill tree fixed. Also, if you're running a nature mutation or ice mutation and you're getting rooted from killing enemies and they're dropping the ice circle or the ice things that freeze you or the nature's freezing you, the vortex will cleanse everybody of that and you can go to the next fight. Okay, you can choose whatever perk you want to run offhand. It doesn't, or whatever perk you want to run third. To me, I'm not a huge flail enjoyer, so I have smite on here. You could choose trip if you want. You can add some debuffs, do a little bit more damage. To me, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the bludgeon. I'll hit vortex at times. I don't really care about any other abilities too much. I'm trying to get on the rapier. And that basically sums it up. That's pretty much every weapon, okay? So for anybody that wants to know, there you go. All right. Just want to make a quick video. I'll see you on the next one. I'll be streaming today. Got a new computer set up. So I'll see y'all then. Later.